everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Kartika and I'm from LeadSquared's marketing team. We have a very exciting session today, and thank you so much for joining. In today's webinar, we'll talk about how you can boost business efficacy and lead conversions with Call Gear and LeadSquared. Joining us, we have our speakers. We have Mr. George, who is the general manager at Call Gear. George, thank you so much
You.
for joining. Please tell us a bit about you and your journey.
Thank you, Kartika. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity of co-hosting this webinar with you. It's a pleasure and honor for me. So, and thank you very much to everyone who have taken the time to join us as well. As Kartika said, my name is George. I'm the GM of Call Gear, and a few things about myself. My background is telecom, but more of the old school kind of telecom and hardware and mobile operators. I've also done business consultancy here in UAE, and I have been with Call Gear since day one. And Call Gear is my, I would say, passion project, my lifetime project, which I treat like my own child, and I'm very happy to see how it grows, how we're becoming more known, and how we're generating value and new value to our customers, and how we are generating synergy with partners such as LeadSquared. I think all in all, that's all about me. I don't want to take too much time overselling myself, so I'll probably give the word to Vinay. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much, George, for that very heartfelt introduction, I would say. We also have Mr. Vinay here. He is the Senior Technical Product Manager here at LeadSquared. Vinay, please tell us a bit about yourself.
Thank you, Karthika, and thank you everyone for joining the session today. Thank you, George, for the wonderful introduction. Uh, I'm the senior product manager for telephony at LeadSquared. It's been a great experience here, and then we've developed quite a few amazing functionalities in the product, and I would love to see how it grows from here.
All right. Thank you so much, Vinay. Looking forward to learning from you both today. But before that, before we start the session, let me just quickly start sharing my screen and we'll just go through the agenda points. Just give me 1 second.
Mhm.
Um, yes. All right. So the agenda points for today, as you can see, we will walk through how cloud telephony is streamlining the business processes. You will learn the art of managing your team over the cloud. You'll also learn about enhancing agents' experience by digitalizing your businesses. Create an omni-channel mechanism for a seamless customer experience. And also, you'll learn to multiply your growth with LeadSquared and Call Gear. So, yeah, we have a lot to unpack here for sure. But before that, a small message to the audience. Throughout the webinar, if you have any questions, please do put it up. There will be a question tab towards the right hand corner of your screen. And we'll also set up a few polls. Please do respond to them. We'd love to hear from you. So, with that, I am going to hand the session over to our speakers. George, please take it forward.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I will start off by telling a little bit about cloud telephony and the values that we can generate to our customers. And a lot of these values are based on the feedback we have from our customers, and it's kind of a summarized case study, I would say. So the first and foremost is obviously cutting costs. Businesses are growing, businesses are becoming multinational, international, multi-branching, and having it all in the cloud makes sense to avoid the physical installation, deployment of hardware in terms of the office or business telephony, especially in, I mean, day-to-day situations like shifting from one office to another. It can be very difficult by having the system down for X amount of time before you can deploy it in the new office. Also, cloud allows you to have remote. So even if you're working in Dubai, in UAE, and you want to have a call center in India, for example, that can be up and running within 1 hour. No complicated installments or gateways have to be done. In our case, Call Gear as a product, we a lot of time we complement the existing digital ecosystem for companies. Say, for instance, in this case, companies using LeadSquared already as the heart of the digital ecosystem, where most of their data and information will pass through LeadSquared. Then we will mostly act as an add-on feature where data about phone calls will be passed on. Call Gear is quite a big product. I usually call it like a Lego, and it can be built of different features, and the features can serve different depending on the industry, depending on the customer requirements, and depending on the internal operational processes. Just to say a few features which we have, which are kind of the flagship features, is the virtual PBX and everything that has to do with managing the calls. Inbound analytics is more, actually inbound analytics and lead generation tool is more of features for the marketing department, for companies that invest a lot of resources into digital marketing, such as social media, pay-per-click through Google or any other search engines, retargeting, or even offline advertising. Our simple dashboards can visualize where you're getting the inquiries and calls from, down to keyword level. And then you can also, with the help of some other features that we have, understand the quality of those leads and calls. Yeah. And passing them on then to LeadSquared with those tags, with that information, and then they can be sorry, to the pipeline, and it can then be processed within LeadSquared, which takes us to Vinay, because I think I will elaborate more on this a little bit later. So Vinay, I think the next slide is yours, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you. So with LeadSquared, right, and as with any other CRM, most asked for the requested feature is the CRM CTI connectors. And usually what we've seen is that the CRM CTI integrations takes quite a bit of time and effort for different engineering teams to configure. So at LeadSquared, what we've done is that we've got a no-code platform which allows any telephone integrator or with any customer to just consume the APIs and get started with the CRM CTI functionality in a matter of a day. In just about a day, you can get the integrations done, and then you can get started. That's what Universal Telephony Connector does for any organizations that wants to implement the CRM CTI, and that's what we've done with Call Gear. Now, it supports all the popular functionalities like click to call, where the agent can just click on the phone number and then get started with the conversation. What's more important is we've got a form where any agent screen pop-up that you have can be designed, it can be dynamically designed, and any organization can collect different information depending on the direction of the call, and they can present different form fields in each of those forms. So, for example, if you want to collect X number of information on an inbound call, and on an outbound call, you want to keep the forms small and collect just basic information, even that's possible with the dynamic form design. We've got something called as a call log API, where you don't have to miss any conversation, immaterial of the status of the call, whether it's answered, not answered, the customer is not available. Just depending on all the status of the call, we do receive it and via webhooks, and everything gets saved and loaded into your CRM for as long as you want to retain the data for. So you never miss any conversations from records of any conversations. What we've seen often is that many times there is a concept of relationship manager for on the IVR. If there's any telephony system operator who wants to implement a call routing mechanism based on the relationship management concept or a sticky agent concept, we've got something where you can just consume the API and identify who the lead owner is, so that the customers who are on the IVR can skip the call and get directly call can get routed to the agent. So it can be done via lead for the lead owners and for the opportunity owners as well. Call disposition, again, this is something that we just consume. So you just have to configure the APIs that needs to be consumed from LeadSquared, and the information is passed on to the telephony system, in this case, the Call Gear system. So almost all these functionalities are, just a configurator on universal telephony connector, and all that you need to do is just configure the APIs and get started with your CRM CTI integration in just about a day or less than that.
That is true. We can do it fast.
Very fast.
Very fast.
Over to you.
Go ahead. Cheers. Next slide. Okay, so if we talk about the average client that we engage with as a company, as a sales team, so it's a little bit like a doctor's visit. We need to analyze the situation. We need to diagnose the issue. So, and a lot of our customers that we meet have obviously something which we call, or it's called analog calling systems, which are usually the old school hardware phones where it's with unfortunate, not so user-friendly interface. If you want to configure something, you need to have a separate person to have on the payroll just to be able to configure it. And again, it's physical and difficult. And the most important value we try to convey is that phone calls in general, whether they are inbound or outbound, they have a big impact on our business. And it's very important to have an overview of them. Yeah, it's very important to digitalize them and to have a working call flow that is then, and we always say it, should be integrated with the CRM system, because if we generally talk about the business environment that we're in, it's very competitive, yeah, and especially in UAE, in Dubai, in general, in big cities today, it's very competitive. And to be ahead of the competition, you must be a data-driven company in today's reality. And to be a data-driven company, you need to have that kind of digital overview. Other values that we're generating, obviously, is to have accurate dashboards over the different departments, especially if we're talking about sales team or customer support team or call center. You do need to have clear metrics that are easy to read, and that we can preset rules and KPIs that if someone is not following them, it gets flagged red, green, depending if they're doing good, depending if they're doing bad. Managers, supervisors are also busy people. They need to have it automated, and they need to have simple dashboards to work with. Analyze. I've kind of taken bullet point 2, 3, and 4 in one, but analyzing and evaluating your calls and your team performance can be done in various ways. It can be done by listening to call recordings and then tagging the phone calls. You can then apply a feature which is called speech analytics, which is basically an AI, artificial intelligence, which analyzes every call. So if you, and a lot of our customers have done this. So when, if you analyze 1,000 or more calls and you tag them good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, or 3, 4, 5 other criteria you might have, every call which comes after that 1,000 first, 1,000 second call can be automatically analyzed by the artificial intelligence and automatically tagged, which can save a huge time of manpower. It can really give you overview if there is any difference in the phone calls. If, for example, if it's a call center, if there has been coming in more complaints more than before, so it can give the management of the company enough data to make decisions, to start investigating and analyzing. If we're talking about marketing and sales, for example, I'm just going to give you a case study in the car industry. We have this, we're applying speech analytics and inbound analytics, and we have linked a lot of phone calls to Facebook and Google campaigns, which by default would mean that people are calling to inquire about a car. So the marketing team would say to the sales team, we passed on 100 leads to you. Where are the sales? Whereas the sales team would come back and say, you have only passed on 60 leads. Where did the 40 go? And by analyzing those phone calls through artificial intelligence, we understood that people don't save phone numbers anymore. So whenever they need to call to get a car service, they just Google the phone number. And sometimes they go on ads, they call, and they book a service time instead of booking a test drive. And this is a real case study, and we have plenty of them. We're more than happy to share with you if you want to get in touch with us, how we can help your industry and how we can share already the experience we've had from the industry and from other clients, and how it can be applied to your company. And the same goes for the last bullet point: discover and apply the most effective sales strategies to increase conversions. The artificial intelligence speech analytics can be used for outbound calls as well. And if there are certain criteria in those calls that has to be met, that, for example, one sales guy is having much more meetings, and then obviously as a result sales than everyone else, then you can tag those. You can tag this call and make sure that everyone else in the sales team follow the same script and follow the same route to kind of have the same results as this most successful salesman. It's a little bit difficult to explain in words. It's much easier if we have a demo or have a more one-to-one. But there's plenty of ways of how you can use Call Gear and features, and especially the artificial intelligence that we have, in order to boost sales, as is the topic of the webinar. I think the next slide is yours, Vinay. I was just making sure just to check the next slide that it's yours, is not mine. Over to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Josh. So all the magic that happens on Call Gear, right, with analytics and the speech analytics and the call analytics and all of those things, where you identify which team is performing better than the rest, and what are the different leads that's been transferred to or diverted to different teams. All that magic starts here, or rather, this is how you would configure it on LeadSquared, where you can have different instances of different phone numbers assigned to different teams, and then you can do this on the fly. You can configure one team to receive calls from or dial out calls from one phone number, and the next day they could be assigned to some other teams. So you can have multiple instances where we see LGTC 1, 2, and 3 on the tab at the top of the window. You can have multiple teams assigned to different phone numbers, and then all this data goes back into Call Gear, and that's how we would assign it to different teams.
Cool. That's me again.
That's
enhanced agent experience. So a little bit about kind of the values for the agents. The cloud-based solution allows the agents to work anywhere, which means that, for example, and this was the last 2 years of pandemic was a very good example for us. So people were working from home, people were working remotely. We have the same situation in Call Gear. So we have an office. We have actually 2 offices here in Dubai. And we do have people working in offices in other countries, and even people working from home. And we do have the same data, same metrics, and we can analyze them in the same way as if they were in the same office. There's no difference. Yeah. And this goes for our clients as well. So you can have your people anywhere, and you can have unified dashboards where you can monitor. Everything is real time. So I use this sometimes whenever I want to see the activity of my team. I can just log in and see who is talking to who has been active today, who hasn't been active. I do this less and less because we grow as a company. I'm head of sales, so doing it now. But I can tell you that when I used to be the head of sales or acting head of sales, I used to uncover. So this sounds quite funny, but Call Gear is using Call Gear for ourselves. And I used to uncover anything between 5 to 8 sales a month just by using our own features and monitoring monitoring our team. About every inbound call, we routed to the right person or correct department. Yes, we can create multi-level complex IVR systems. The system also has remembers the callers. So for example, if you have an agent who's been interacting with a lead or a prospect or a client, whenever that client calls back, the system knows that it speaks to, say, John. So it will always route the call to John to make sure that they can pick up their conversation wherever they left it, to get a more personalized experience. And this is very important. Again, going back to competition, going back to being ahead of your competitors, you always want to give that customer experience which will be remembered and which can be referred to other. Call recordings, again, very important. Usually the call recording has a little bit of a bad image around it about monitoring and policing, but actually I remember myself when I was cold calling, I used my own call recordings just to get important information. Or when a client says, okay, call me in 3 weeks time, and then most of you will use the beautiful system of LeadSquared. And the LeadSquared will probably remind you that you should give this prospect a follow-up call, and you will have the opportunity of listening to your previous phone call and pick up on important things that was said. And it can be that, that the person said, look, I'm going on holiday to somewhere else, to Italy, and please call me back in 3 weeks time. And you listen to the phone call, you call him, hi, how are you doing? How was Italy? It's all about soft skills and performance. I've used it myself personally, and it works. Yeah, it converts into sale. Again, I run ahead of myself sometimes, but all data, follow-ups, and essentials notes, everything which is in the phone call will be passed on to LeadSquared, to the lead card, and you will be able to access it without digging too much into Call Gear. It will all be in your LeadSquared account, which is why we have done this integration, why we're doing this webinar as well, just to tell you of the options that will be available for you. And another feature which is quite important in day-to-day routine is the auto callback, which is we get a lot of phone calls which are being missed. Even if you have a great call center team, there will be calls dropped from the queue. And if you don't have a digital call flow, if you don't have a cloud PBX, you will not even be able to know that you had these calls, people being in queue waiting for you. Now, when these calls are dropped, we can actually configure it in a way that they will be automatically called back, to exclude that human error, to make sure that you reach that person despite him dropping the call. That's roughly it for this slide. I think, Vinay, it's over to you.
Thank you, George. And extending to the point that George just mentioned, right? It's not just about that. What also can be done on LeadSquared is you could have different automations and you could have different forms displayed in case of the connected calls. And at the same time, we'll see it towards the end of the presentation, how the automations can get the work done for you. So in cases where the calls are missed, in cases where the calls have been dialed out, but the agent or the customer is not answered, then how you can trigger automations and get all the important information from or maybe connect with the lead and the prospect. And those are the kind of things that can be done with this integration with Call Gear and the other telephony systems.
Yep. So moving to Omnichannel. Call Gear is not only about cloud PBX. We're also about, as I mentioned, we have a few marketing features, which are a few of them, as I call them, the hit of the season. So it would be the widgets of the callback request, pop-up widgets, and integration with forms. Forms integration can be with existing forms on the website, on the landing page, on Facebook, Instagram, etc. And there is a clear saying that whenever a form is submitted, if a sales manager doesn't get in touch with the lead within the first 5 minutes, there is an 85% chance of losing that lead. Now, the beauty of receiving a phone call is that you have a hot lead calling. So if you have received that call, you have the opportunity of answering all of these questions, making a call to action, get him into a meeting, to a demo, whatever it might be. And there is a big chance of closing that deal, or at least qualifying the client on the spot. Now, a lot of requests lately are coming, or a lot of leads are coming through requests lately. This is the way the world is organized these ways. This is the way the websites are built. This is the way the lead generation is built. Now, we have a calling feature that as soon as a form is submitted, no matter where it is, website, landing page, Facebook, Instagram, Call Gear can create an instant callback. And we can create various scenarios. For example, the first one could be that we call the lead who just submitted the form. He will pick up his phone and there will be a robot saying, "Hi, we're from company A and you just submitted a form. Are you ready to speak now? Press 1. Do you want to be contacted later? Press 2. Or we can do it vice versa. If it's a very high competitive product, we can call the sales team and we can call 5 agents at the same time. Whoever will be free at the time will take the call and he will be connected to the lead. And we have used it ourselves. We have a lot of customers who are using this. First of all, it just gets the emotional wow effect. But mathematically and statistically, you do close more deals by having that instant callback to the customer and speaking with him straight away. I remember it myself when I used to be on the phone. We used to do that, and the reaction was, "Wow, that was quick, that was fast." And honestly, I'm also in a position where I send a lot of requests because unfortunately, some companies don't even offer you to call them. You can't call them; they don't display a number anywhere, so you have to submit a request. And I get a call. Okay, if I get a call within an hour, maybe I will speak. But I mean, several hours later, I will be in the meetings, in webinars, with my family, whatever it might be. I won't have time to speak, and I will be a lost opportunity. Whereas I might have been a not lost opportunity if they would have been in touch with me straight away. So, and this is a feature which we call the hit of the season. And please get in touch with us. We'll be more than happy to tell you more about it because it sounds simple, but there is quite a lot more information to it. And yeah, following up is the campaign tracking. So as a tool, we can track all of the campaigns with the help of UTM tags. We even have experience of tracking offline sources, billboards, print ads, whatever it might be. We gather them into one dashboard or unified dashboards and metrics. And we have good experience. This is what we would love to do with LeadSquared and with the customers is to we build something called end-to-end analytics. This is where we gather all of this information. We pass it on to LeadSquared. It will go into your pipeline. Some of this will then convert into deals. Something will not convert into deals. And after a set period of time, you will have the opportunity of analyzing from which ad campaign you got the most deals. Because right now, especially in UAE, the general industry practice is to understand how many leads you got from each ad channel. Best case scenario, someone maybe calculates how many qualified leads you got from an ad campaign or an ad channel. Whereas we offer our clients to actually work from sales, so you can see ROI for each return of investment for each marketing channel. You can see the deal cycle for each marketing channel. You can see the average check. So, and this can be very important for real estate, for example. You can see that the villas and penthouses are selling from certain campaigns, whereas the one beds and studios are selling from another one. And based on your stock, your availability that you have from the developer, this could be a great opportunity, great way of managing your campaigns. Same goes for car industry. I don't know, BMW 7 Series are selling from certain campaigns, BMW 3 Series are selling from another one. Again, based on stock, you can then manage your campaigns. Um, that would that would be Vinay's way turn to speak. I'm just trying to stop myself because I can't forever. That's why. So I'm just
Feel free to go ahead.
at some point.
So extending to the points that George mentioned, right? So the moment, some fantastic statistics that George had shared that every lead for a hot lead, if you call within 5 minutes of them placing an inquiry, then the chances of conversion is about 85% or so. In addition to that, LeadSquared offers a fantastic automation process. It's a workflow designer that you can use to configure or to streamline the workflow process as to what should be the next step that needs to be taken. For example, the IVR campaign that George spoke about, where you call, where the automated call goes out to a customer or lead, and they provide their option whether they want to receive the call or not, or whichever product. So those can very well easily be configured and stored into LeadSquared on a real-time basis the moment the call is done. Now, based on those information that is collected in LeadSquared, passed from Call Gear, we can set up automations where you want to send out an email saying that, hey, thank you for your response, and we will get in touch with you, or maybe send out a text message or maybe a WhatsApp message. What are the different options that can be done is something that you can just configure on automations, and it just all the information that's already saved into CRM, those can be leveraged to send out different communications to the lead. So this is something which is absolutely beautiful, and it's been well received by a lot of customers, and they extensively use it. So we have different conditions. Based on different conditions, you can just send out different communications to the lead, so that you're sure that even if there's no agent to answer the call, there is a communication that is sent out to the lead. We'd love to explore. I mean, we'd love to present this to you, and on a demo session that will take a little longer though. Sounds
Moving
great.
forward, LeadSquared.
Sure, John. As you again.
I think it's your no, or it's mine. It's just mentioned. That's
Right.
your.
Yeah, it's quite right. So the call information is the moment the call is connected, or in case of an inbound call, all the calls are routed to the agent. Now here, you could leverage the call route API or the opportunity route API, where the calls are getting routed to the appropriate agent, whoever is a lead owner or an opportunity owner, so that the customer does not have to stay on the IPI for a long time. And if the agents are available or the lead owners are available, they can get started with the conversation right away. All the information that the customers have filled or the leads have filled on the forms, be it on the Facebook or be it on the website or any of the landing pages, all those informations are directly available to the agent on a single window. They do not have to switch between different windows. You can even, any supervisor can segregate the leads based on, the direction of the call as well. So you know that all the outbound calls have better conversion rates when they're called within a certain period of time, let's say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour. And those kind of informations are also available, and you can configure it and leverage analytics and reports that comes in with LeadSquared. Essentially, like we say, sales execution starts here. This is how the integration has worked, and it all starts with a phone call from Call Gear.
I think that is the end of it, isn't it? The roundup of I think it was quite productive and then time effective. Thank you, Vinay.
Thank you.
Karthika, should we take some questions now?
Yes. Yeah, to the audience, if you have any questions, do put it up on the questions tab. Do see one question from Lakshmi. She asks, after integration with Call Gear, marketing people and sales users will use the same logins. I think she's asking if the marketing users and the sales users are going to use the same logins after the Call Gear integration.
I'll take that. George,
yeah, you can take that, and I will. Yeah, if anything, I can elaborate.
So Lakshmi, when you say marketing people and the sales users, you mean the credentials or the login IDs on LeadSquared and Call Gear? Is that what you mean?
Lakshmi, if you could just respond to that on the chat section, that would be great.
Oh,
I think she
perfect.
responded on the question
Yes,
stuff.
perfect.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we have a configuration, or we have some feature called as user agent mapping. So in user agent mapping, what it does is that it provides a mapping ability for the administrator of your LeadSquared instance to map the agent ID from LeadSquared and the agent ID from Call Gear. So, for example, if my ID on Call Gear is Vinay123, and if my ID on LeadSquared is just Vinay, you just have to map that Vinay and LeadSquared means Vinay123 in Call Gear. And internally, we have mechanisms where it understands any information that is coming in from the call log. We do the mapping, and it's done on the fly, and then we associate it with the relevant agents on the lead profile. Does that answer
Uh,
the question, Lakshmi?
George, do you have anything to add to that, or?
No, it's pretty much my answer would probably be the same, but would yeah be very similar to what Benay said.
All right. Yeah, Lakshmi, I hope that answers your question. And we have another question from Praveen. Can we connect one or more calling solutions? I think that's directed to George. Um,
Do
I
you
think
think?
that
I think it's more to Vinay, to be
it
honest.
will be
One call a calling solution. If you can connect other ones, that's up to you guys.
yeah, Raj. uh, So, Praveen, yes. To answer your question, yes, we can have multiple telephonic systems integrated by using UTC. That's one of the strong points of LeadSquared, and you can have different teams associated with different telecalling solutions as well, telephony systems. So you could have telephony operator one, which is used by team 123, and telephony operator 2, which is used by team 345. So you could have multiple instances. You could also have other teams which probably could be using both of them, both the solutions, or maybe more than that. There isn't any hard-coded limit on the number of calling solutions that you can configure on UTC. UTC, when I say UTC, I mean Universal Telephony Connected on LeadSquared. Does that answer the question, Praveen? Lakshmi, I saw your message. Thank you. Thank you. And if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to us, send us an email, and we'll be more than happy to respond or even connect over a demonstration.
yes. All right. So we have another question from Sandeep. He
Praveen,
asked,
Praveen, I assume your question is answered. If not,
yeah, he has replied on the chat, Vinay. He said yes, he's gotten
okay,
the
great.
answer. Am I audible? Yeah. Uh, can you hear me?
Yes, Kartika, you're audible.
I can
All
hear
right,
everyone
great.
perfectly well.
All
I'm
right,
just trying
great,
to
great.
be
Okay, we
quiet.
have another question from Sandeep. He asks, the automation which was discussed, does the lead have the option to select call or message, or is it decided by the business?
Um, I
Well,
think the question is addressed to me, so I will try and answer it as best I can. I think Sandeep is asking about form requests, Facebook and Instagram, or form requests on landing pages. Now, it can be a combination of both. So whatever you put in the form, as long as there is a phone number, it will be pushed through API, through the JavaScript that we have on the website, and we'll create that callback. If we're talking about chatbot or chat boxes as a separate feature, that would probably be something different. But we do have that as well, and that can be applied from Call Gear as well. You can have a chatbot as well. So it's probably, Sandeep, actually, yeah, the answer would probably be that it's mostly decided by the business the way you want to organize the communication flow in this case. I think that would be the answer. Kartika, do you want me to answer the second two questions from Sarvesh and Param as well?
Sure. If you want me to read it out, I'll just read it out
No,
for the.
well, so I can just answer them. So
Sure,
Sarvesh
that
is
works.
asking,
Yeah.
will Call Gear track all the info of the caller like Truecaller does? Sarvesh, unfortunately, I'm not 100% familiar with Truecaller. But we do track quite a lot of the information about the caller in terms of the time, calling number, who answered the call, if it's a first-time call, if it's a repeated call, if it's a complaint, if it's a sales inquiry, whatever it might be. So I would probably say, from what I know from Truecaller, we would probably give you more in-depth information. And if you actually apply inbound analytics as a business, you will be able to see the full customer journey, because a form submission or a phone call is usually the last action of a visitor. They might have been on your website for 3 times, browsing, listing, reading, and then they decide to call you. So that piece of information will also be included. I hope I answered that question. Now, Param, can you elaborate further how a call form be tracked? Through a JavaScript. So what we do is we insert a JavaScript snippet on the website that tracks phone calls, forms, sorry. Plus we can apply a pool of virtual numbers that will track phone calls as well. So 5 different people can be on the website at the same time. And they might have come from different marketing campaigns. So one came from Facebook, another one came from Instagram, a third one came from SEO, a fourth one came from Google Ads, a fifth one did a direct search. Now they're on the website at the same time, and they will see 5 different virtual numbers. So whoever decides to call in, or if all 5 decides to call in, they will then land to the main IVR, but the virtual number acts as a tracker for the ad campaign. That's for the calls, and for the forms, pretty much the same thing. Through UTM tags, we follow the web session and see if they submit a form or not. Once the form is submitted, it's just a technical matter of creating that instant callback. I hope it's not too technical, not too boring.
All right. Param says it's clear, but George Sarvesh has actually asked a follow-up question. He's asked if Call Gear can track the location of the caller.
Can we track the location of the caller? We can do, yeah. There is a geography, yeah. Well, when you say location, probably not to the exact apartment number, but yes, there is a geography tracking on it. Yeah, we can see where the call is from. Well, there is 2 ways of doing it. First of all, we see the phone number, so we can identify the country of the number. But also, if you apply inbound analytics, and we can track it to the web session, we can actually track it to the IP address as well, as far as I know. I would say yes with a 95% certainty to that.
All right. Yes, Sarvesh says that answers his question. That is great. So I don't see any more questions coming in, but to the audience, if you have any more questions, please do put it up. We can take that up. Other than that, I'd just like to say we've asked one last poll question. We've asked if you'd like a customized LeadSquared and Call Gear demo. So please do respond to that. We'd love to know from you. Yes, we have a question from Anelli. She asked, would tracking the caller is possible of callers from a mobile phone?
Doesn't matter where they call from. So this is a question which I would need to kind of ask another clarifying question, but based on experience, for us, it doesn't matter where they call from, mobile, not mobile, if they're using their laptop to search and then call from a mobile, or they're searching on the mobile and then doing click to call. The inbound analytics tracks it in both ways, because they would have used UTM tags, and they will see a specific virtual number that is for that specific UTM tag. So when they call in, we're going again into the main AVR, but the virtual number acts as the tracker or the register of the UTM tags.
She's
I
asked
hope
a
I answered.
follow-up. Yes. She's asked a follow-up question actually, George. She's
Yeah.
asked, it can track the country, but can you track further in detail?
That's a very open question. Why don't she submit a request, and one of my sales team will answer that, because further detail, how detailed? Apartment number, birthday. there is legal aspects to that as well. There is information we can get from Google due to our integration with them, but there is a few things we cannot get, and we don't want to get it because it's on the boundaries of legality, and we want to stay on the right side.
Yes. So again, Annalie, I think you can reach out to the Call
Yeah,
Gear
we'll
team.
be more than happy to
Yeah.
answer the questions in more detail. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, Annalie, I would suggest you reach out to the Call Gear team so that they can help you with this furthermore. I don't see any more questions coming up. Um, yeah, I think that's about it. I don't see any more questions coming up, but to the audience, again, we can maybe give it a minute more. And if you have any more questions, please still put it up. And also, again, please respond to the poll questions. Yeah. All right. So I would say for sure, thank you so much, Vinay and Georgie, for this
Thank you.
amazing session. Because I definitely felt like I got a proper walkthrough of the integration. I got to learn a lot of things in detail, which I was really looking forward to from this session. So I'm sure the audience also has a lot of takeaways from this particular webinar. And so, yeah, thank you for both of you for joining and taking your time to answer all the questions. And also to the audience, wonderful audience, I see how everyone was reacting with all the small emojis to make sure that our speakers also feel like they're, conversational and communicating with all of you all. And also, I'd like to thank the Collier team and the LeadSquared team for organizing this wonderful webinar. A lot of people worked in the back end of this, so thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Um,
There's one further question
yes.
from Chris.
Yeah, so there's one further question from Preeti. We can quickly take that up if you don't mind. Call duration recording, are there any limitations for the duration of recordings?
No, no. We've had
All,
hour and a half, 2 hours phone calls. They're all there.
I think that answers your question, Preeti.
And then, just to add another point to that, so all this information that flows back into LeadSquared, right? So you can listen to the audio conversation, and agent can listen to the audio conversation right from the lead profile page on LeadSquared, so that they do not have to switch between two different systems. And like George mentioned, right, the agents could also listen to the conversations, and then refer to notes and for their subsequent calls with the lead or the prospect.
Yeah,
So
that'll
no limitation on the duration of the call from call gear, and all of this information and all the call recordings can be heard right from the lead profile page on LeadSquare.
Preeti has added auditing can be a live possibility. That's yeah, I think that's what Vinay mentioned, Preeti.
So, Preeti, would you mean call analytics, for example, as in when the words are spoken, they are highlighted? Is that what you mean by auditing a live possibility? I think it's a question for call gear, though. George, you want to
Sorry,
take
what was
that?
the question? I must have missed out because I can't see it here in the
Can
questions.
call
It's,
auditioning be live is what she's
no,
asking.
no, it's auditing, correct? Call auditing, be
Yeah.
live.
Call auditing means listening to the call live. So I have an agent and a client speaking, and I want to join the call and listen to it in real time. If that is the question, then yes. The answer is yes.
Yes, I think that was her question. She said yes to it.
Yeah.
All right. So again, I don't see any further questions. We've answered everything. Thank you so much, George and Vinay, for taking the time and joining us again. It was a wonderful session, lots to learn. And to the audience, the recording will be available. It will be sent to you over an email. And you can also watch the replay of this if you want to, right here on Livestorm. It'll also be available on our YouTube pages. So, with that, I think we can conclude the session. Thanks again, Vinay,
Thank
George.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Vinay.
for
Have a
me,
great
and
day.
Thank you
thank you
so
for
much, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you.
Bye.
thank you. Thanks, everyone. Hey, Neil's typing.